WolfPunch.
I don't think we should let Michael drink before sessions anymore.
Did you have a lot?
No, I just had a PBR.
He had a beer, and now he's all fussy and
It was a tall boy PBR.
Yeah, it was like 2.
That's too much.
No, it's not enough.
That's too much for you.
No, saying things, threatening our mothers.
Wow.
He's not the same guy he usually is.
It pertains to the movie, okay?
If you say
What,
so.
drinking tall boys?
No.
Yes.
Murdering mothers.
Oh.
Spoilers. We haven't even introduced the podcast. We're already spoiling this
Yeah.
shit.
Hey, well, I guess nobody would have known if we
Yeah, we don't
said
know what movie
spoilers.
they're talking about yet.
Yeah, fuck it.
That's
Okay.
true. Anyway,
So we're a good podcast, everyone.
The best.
We're good punch.
we're WolfPunch.
Michael doesn't know where he is or what he's doing. He had that beer, I'm telling you.
Anyway, my name's Zane, and with me is Kyle,
Yo.
and Dan,
Howdy.
and Kemp.
Hey.
And Yezin is
Dead.
He's still dead.
still dead.
You know how he died last week? Didn't recover.
Died again.
Fatal case of the dead.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, so this week we're reviewing You Were Never Really Here. Yeah, that's the name of
Okay, see you guys.
it. Cool, bye. No. It's the story of a traumatized veteran unafraid of violence that tracks down missing girls for a living. When a job spins out of control, Joe, apparently is his name, Joe's nightmares overtake him as a conspiracy is uncovered, leading to what may be his death trip or his awakening.
So Zane, you sound like the expert on this movie. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, I didn't see this movie. I'm going to be honest with you.
It sounds good, though.
Yeah.
Well, it
Well,
sounds
see-
interesting. I'll
See,
say that.
the trailer looked good, but after hearing that synopsis, I probably wouldn't have saw it if I would have.
Synapses.
Yeah.
Synapses.
He's slurring his words a little bit.
Hey guys. Hey.
Goddamn drunk. Anyway,
I love you guys.
this
Yeah.
movie has Joaquin Phoenix in it. He
Joaquin.
plays Joe, and there's some other
This is
people.
the Blade Runner
It looks
2049 prequel, right?
What?
What? Joe?
Is there anybody else in this movie that
Oh,
you recognize? Because
not
I was going to
really.
say it's looking. The cast is looking
It's
dry.
a small indie film from a second-time director.
What was the director's first movie?
Ants.
We need to talk about Kevin. What the fuck? What the fuck, Michael?
Did he say ants?
He said ants.
Oh, Michael.
Oh, Michael.
Shut up.
Michael, you dumb, poor, dumb ass idiot.
Flat cap wearing motherfucker.
Oh my gosh. No, the director's previous film, we need to talk about Kevin. Something I haven't seen, but from what I heard is a really, really dark film about, I think, a young man that ends up being like a psychopath and kills people.
Nice.
Tight.
Yeah.
Up Kyle's
So-
alley.
Sure is.
Sure. Dramatic,
Autobiography.
sad, pretentious.
Everything I love.
Yeah.
Throw a little
John C.
murder in
Reilly's
there and I'm in.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, the Flash is in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
and-
one?
Shut your fucking mouth.
You would know
kidding?
better because you watched the fucking movie last
I
night.
know. I wanted to blow my brains
He was
out.
hoping you meant the CW Flash.
Yeah.
Because that's so much better.
Yeah.
Well, there's apples and oranges, guys.
Come on.
Yeah, but they're both crap. All right.
Okay.
Neither are Wally West, so anyway.
Anyway.
Enough about
Shut
fucking
your mouth.
bullshit DC crap.
Thanks for listening to our review of The Flash.
Yeah, guys, Jesus. No, this movie, You Were Never Really Here. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like I summed it up best after we got out, where it's just a taxi driver for the hipster mumblecore generation.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Interesting.
I was really excited to see this movie. I watched the trailer. I was like, I like Joaquin Phoenix. I'm in. I'm
yeah,
on
Johnny
board.
Cash is cool.
Yeah, all right. I prefer Walk Hard, actually.
I actually
We can't go a single podcast without bringing up Walk Hard. But
No, can't and won't. Anyway, I was really excited for this movie. I'm a big fan of violence. I'm a big fan of like neo-noirs and Joaquin Phoenix. Everything I just said. I was really excited for the movie. Then I watched it, and
You weren't so much anymore.
I wasn't so much anymore.
yeah, I never.
It's not a terrible movie. I'm just gonna go out there and say that it's not a terrible movie. It's not even really a bad movie. It's just not what I expected or wanted, and it would make a really good short film. I think.
Yeah.
Because there's like about 20 minutes of this movie spread out throughout the movie that are like pretty cool to me.
Sure.
But it doesn't work. You were gonna say something.
I totally forgot now, but
Yes.
I was gonna say, I've never seen Taxi Driver, but I feel like it's an insult to Taxi Driver to even mention that this movie is similar.
I wouldn't go that far.
Really?
It's just a very different take
Because people
on the
really
subject
love
matter.
Taxi Driver.
Well,
and
that movie also has like 40 years on this movie, or probably more than that by now. Where
True.
that's an infamous like American classic and very important culturally at the time of the Vietnam War. And this movie takes all those ideas, but then just presents them in a different way through its main character. It downplays the violence. It downplays the plot. It makes it a character study of Joaquin Phoenix's character, Joe, the assassin who takes on a job that ends up being more than he thinks he is, and then he has to save a girl at the end.
Okay.
And sex trafficking and whatnot, and blah, blah, blah. But just like, what's his name, Bickle from...
Travis Bickle.
Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver. He's not exactly mentally stable. I would probably say much more so than Travis Bickle. He is very, very, like, psychologically damaged. He was in the Iraq War, saw some traumatic shit over there, had a very fucked up family life with an insanely abusive and violent father. I don't think there was anything really going on with his mother as far as like fucked up things from that perspective, but he does care for her, and has like the onset of dementia. And it's kind of like one humanizing respect to his character when he's not trying to like strangle himself or like dangle knives over his fucking throats, and he's generally crazy.
Yeah, but then he had that cute joke where he did like the psycho noise to him.
Well, yeah, he's crazy, but he's also fun.
Like that?
Yeah, to his mom. Yeah.
I don't know. So
That's
like,
pretty funny.
Yeah.
This is part of what annoys me is like, I mean, Taxi Driver is also a character study.
Yeah.
And it's just
But
another
Taxi
one of those
Driver isn't afraid to lean into, I don't want to say schlocky moments, but I guess more pulpy moments where with the violence and things like that.
Sure. Like this movie is a lot more psychological, I guess, but I don't know as if that's necessarily better. I'm gonna be honest. When I was watching this movie, I was thinking of a lot of like 70s movies that I like better than this.
Yeah.
You know? Because like I had hoped from like the trailer and everything that this was gonna be like a pretty gnarly, like violent neo-noir film, and I thought that like you get from the trailer that it's like this job is different than all the others, and this is something big. In fact, I might be wrong, but I think it's even in the trailer that the guy that hires him winds up dead. I think that he sees that on the news in the trailer. So I thought, oh, maybe this is going to be like a tight winding mystery plot with maybe like a Chinatown meets Taxi Driver kind of vibe, and it didn't.
It's not. To be honest, I never watched the trailer for this before going into it. I read a plot synopsis, and I knew Joaquin Phoenix was in it, and I don't want to say those are both red flags because it made it sound like Taxi Driver with Joaquin Phoenix, but I like Joaquin Phoenix as an actor, but the type of roles he's been taking, especially lately, are just so kind of, I hate saying intensely hipster, but they kind of fucking are. Like Inherent Vice, it's just kind of like the more like...
God, I hated that movie.
You know, I didn't hate it here.
I enjoyed it,
so
but
much.
It's not really a movie I'd ever really want to watch again anytime soon.
That's our review of Inherent Vice. Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah,
Anyway.
there we go. But I couldn't get it out of my mind. The other Joaquin Phoenix movie that he made, it was like a faux documentary about his life. I'm not there.
I thought this was the sequel.
That's what I was joking about for the longest time too. It's like, oh, is this going to be the sequel to I'm Not There? It's like, I was never really here to begin with.
Yeah.
That's the third movie.
Then you're like, these titles are getting...
But it didn't seem like he's the kind of actor that would take on a pulpy, like gritty action role like that. And watching this movie just kind of like reaffirmed that, because yes, there's some really violent, like fucked up, disturbing shit that happens in it, but almost all of the on-screen violence is downplayed to the point where either you don't see it or it happens like very abruptly, or it's seen through like a reflection in a mirror. It's made to not be the focal point of what's happening. It's just kind of an aspect of the story that's being told. And I hate to sound like an asshole and just be like, oh no, we want to see the fucking gore. But it takes away the entertainment value from the film. And that's really important because I never gave a shit about Joe or his story.
Okay.
The plot is so basic and simple. You know what's going to happen. Everything is set up. It has the whole outline, the whole Taxi Driver thing. Characters introduced. You know what's going to happen to them because that's how the plot's going to fucking work in a movie like this. There was nothing that ever made me wish things would turn out differently, hope they would turn out differently. It just seemed like it was going through the motions, and it had, the hook of a crazy main character, Joaquin Phoenix's performance, which is great, but wasn't a selling point to make me interested in what the fuck was going on.
Same. Like, I think he does a really, really good job in this movie, but it's just there are way too many scenes of, like, him just having mental breakdowns, basically, in between the plot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
And they aren't even that interesting of mental breakdowns. It's just kind of like flashes, flashbacks.
I mean, they are kind of interesting, and they all have, like, the whole approach of, like, less is more and, like, overly borderline obnoxious subtlety to, like, what's happening. And I don't necessarily mind those kind of, like, directional or filmmaking techniques. I actually think the film is wonderfully shot, well constructed, very well made. It's just, this isn't the right kind of story for it. Or if it is this kind of story, it needs to be more than what it's doing. There's no hooks to make me give a shit about anything that's happening.
The minimalism of everything kind of keeps you out of it for me. It's just because there are things like, so spoilers, I guess I'm just gonna get into this. Like when he figures out like what is going on, why this little girl that he rescued has been kidnapped again. It's basically that, like, the governor has kidnapped the senator's daughter to molest her, and apparently that was something they did back and forth with each other's kids. Is that right? Or I couldn't tell.
We couldn't.
They mumbled the fucking plot, like. So no, I'm still not sure.
Well, that's how it was in Inherent Vice too. He just fucking mumbled the whole goddamn time.
Like,
that's a big recurring thing with like movies lately. Is suddenly a performance is brilliant if you can't understand someone. Tom Hardy has really made a career out of that.
But Bane's real sweet though.
All right, Michael.
No more DC.
If we make that a rule,
no more.
He only gets so many DC references an episode, and no beers beforehand.
Hey.
But speaking of like movies of this variety and treatment of violence, I couldn't stop thinking about the movie Drive the whole time, because a lot of things that it kind of does are similar, like story-wise, tonality-wise, like character-wise, but the violence in Drive was like very, I don't want to say abrasive, but it hit you really hard because it was sudden, it was very gratuitous, and it felt real and gritty and put you in the moment. It puts you in, like, the stakes that the characters are facing. Whereas this movie just felt like, for lack of a better term, keep saying fucking hipster, but it wanted to be different. It was trying really hard to show it in a different light.
No, I completely...
That's not always a bad thing, but it's to the movie's detriment in this case, because it just takes away from a lot of the tension and build-up from these scenes. Since we're full into spoiler territory, fuck it. We're going to talk about one scene where Joe he's trying to take care of his mom and support her, and then after things go wrong, he gets it over his head. He comes back to find his mom has been murdered. But the two hitmen that did it are still in the house, so he slowly goes downstairs, he shoots one dead, and he shoots another one in the stomach or something, or in the leg.
I don't know, they're both off screen.
Yeah, fuck it, doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't show the violence. And then the one's like crawling away on the ground, and like he goes up to him, like grabs him by the leg. He's like, "Are you the one that shot my mom?" Or some such mumbly bullshit.
Yeah, less coherent.
Less coherent, and I don't even think he gets a straight answer out of the guy.
No.
They're talking for like a bit, and then some really stupid song is playing on the radio, some like 70s pop song that's obscure and dumb and no one cares about. And he lays down next to the guy bleeding out, and they start singing it together, and then they hold hands until the other guy dies.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'd do if someone murdered my mother.
And it's like,
but
no.
Michael, you don't love your mom. I would have been super pissed.
And it's not like, oh, we can't have this super, like, violent torture scene where he's, like, putting his boot into the guy's guts as he's bleeding out or something. That's what would be expected of the audience. We have to subvert these expectations by doing something different.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, that bugged the hell out of me just because you had seen just off of frame so many times of him, like, brutally beating people. And then it's like, you would think that when somebody kills his emotional connection to the world, like the one person that he really cares about, I'm just saying, if I were him and I were in that situation, I feel like I would be, I would go so far as to say aggressive.
I'd be quite cross with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're aggressive when someone sits in your seat at 16 bits.
You're right. I've got a short fuse.
I would say.
I think that, so did this character a little bit in this movie, but like
But not
suddenly
when
his
his
mom
mom
is
died.
dead, and he's holding his hand and singing a song with him.
No, there's literally a scene where it sets him as being overly aggressive to people that haven't even instigated anything. Where he's going to buy drugs from somebody, like opens up the door, like prescription pills, and then the guy's kind of like rude to him and like gives him the pills, and he like grabs the money, gives him the money, he gives him the money, takes the pills, and then he punches him in the gut and knocks him out. I was like, that's for making me wait.
So it's like that's my biggest problem with this movie is it's working so hard to subvert expectations that it just kind of doesn't work for me. Like I was saying, when they reveal this like pedophile ring plot, it's like that's such a horrible thing, and it's like it's not that I want more of that, but when you just say, oh, this is the plot of the movie, that's what's happening, and then you don't like do anything with that, it makes me super uncomfortable. Of like, what a horrible gaudy thing that you just threw in this movie. You just mention it.
More like a plot device than anything else, especially in the terms of the senator's daughter that he's trying to save and protect, because he goes in, rescues her, he's with her for maybe a total of, I think, like 3 minutes on screen, and then, he gets betrayed, like these quote-unquote cops show up and then take the girl off while, like, they get in a fight. And, like, that's your driving force. There's no real, like, emotional connection forged between Joe and this girl. Mm-hmm. It's just, like, boom, 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 they're done, moving on. Oh, he feels bad because, he wants to pretend he has a surrogate daughter.
Yeah, it's just weird that it has such, like, a horribly dark plot that it just mentions and doesn't, like... I don't know, it was weird to me. But so with a lot of this movie, I think that when you're going to, I guess, for lack of a better term, take a swing at like deconstructing a genre, there's got to be some kind of a reconstruction. Like, Hot Fuzz is a goofy, like, comedy, like, buddy action movie. That,
now you're
like,
talking my language.
There's something that Zane can understand. It spends, like, the whole first act of that movie, like, deconstructing it, deconstructing the genre, and then it reconstructs it. And I know, like, that's a comedy and that's easier to do, but it's like something like Seven Psychopaths, where Colin Farrell is writing a screenplay about psychopaths. He's like, I don't want this to end in just a shootout. I want it to be something more interesting than that. And Sam Rockwell is like, oh, fuck that. We got to have shootouts. And the movie itself kind of gives you a little bit of both. There's got to be some kind of a payoff when you work so hard to like deconstruct something.
And even the movie tries to like, I don't want to say subvert, but just like get away from that at every turn. Even like the final bad guy that he's going to kill, the big like fucking showdown with the governor, kind of like, oh, this is it. He's walking to his death to save this girl kind of thing. And so it'd be in any other movie. It's the most boring fucking scene ever because he walks up, he follows them back to like his big creepy rape mansion estate. There's all the armed guards walking away that they establish, and then it just shows like Joe walking up with his hammer, and then it cuts, and then it's like him walking by, and there's like a dead body that he just killed. It doesn't show him actually like attacking or hurting anyone. And then he finally like goes through the mansion, finds everyone, goes upstairs, sees the creepy rape bed, and then the governor is already dead, had his throat slit, and it's revealed that it was the girl that did it. And that's it. It's the movie.
Yeah, it's.
Meanwhile, he's having his whole mental breakdown with images of his mom and then his dad and all that shit.
Turns into The Shining there for like 3 minutes, and then gets back to the movie.
CGI axes coming into the ceiling.
Shut up. No, and we're shitting on this a lot. It's not none of these ideas are bad on paper, and not all of them are bad in the movie. It's not a bad movie. There are scenes that I really like.
Like on a technical level, just for like how it's shot, it's a very like well done film in a lot of regards. Like William Ramsey is a talented filmmaker in so many regards, and there's even some glimpses of like things that I thought were that worked for it when it did. Like when he's going in to like break up the whole prostitution ring, he grabs the one kid outside who runs errands, beats him up, gets the information out of him, but he doesn't kill him. It shows that he's not a total psychopath. And then when he goes in and starts like the whole murder spree to like kill the guards and stuff, it's all shown from the perspective of like the CCTV cameras.
Yeah, and that was great.
Cool.
That was interesting, cool, and I was like, this is a neat, different approach that I haven't seen before to a scene like this.
Yeah, for sure. But see, like that's part of my problem with this movie is the whole like first like half made me think that it gave me really, really high hopes. Because one, like I love the opening when he's burning this photograph and he like takes the baggie off of the
Fire detector.
Fire detector, and he's just doing all of these like slick things, and then he's like waiting outside of this building for the guy to come by, and then he asks him for the code and stuff, or even just the fact that his mom is going to be killed in this movie is set up nicely by like him seeing the kid on the fire escape who works for like one of his contacts, and it's like, now you know how they're going to find her later. And the script just felt from the beginning like this is thought out stuff.
It had a believable, like, gritty realism to it.
Yeah.
Like, basically, like, deconstructing it to an extent, like the blue collar assassin, not like, some suave fucking hitman. It's like, no, this is a believable character who has emotional fucking damage, doesn't know how to function in society, and is making money basically the only way he knows how to.
Yeah, and it just felt pretty believable and like pretty like well thought out, and I was like, this is really cool. And the movie kind of just drops that pretty much after, like, once he gets the girl and the girl's kidnapped again, it just drops that. Like, because then you get this whole chain of like everyone that connected him to this case is getting killed, and at the end of that sort of sequence, that's when he finds his mom dead. But most of that sequence is him driving around, popping painkillers and like going insane and swerving around the road, and it all feels like something's going to happen here. Like maybe he's going to like crash, or like it's just like he's hallucinating. It doesn't really turn into anything. It's just scenes of like, oh, what an emotional state this character's in. It's just it's a character study that's really elliptical and ethereal throughout the entire movie. And like Taxi Driver does stuff like that a little bit, but you also see like firsthand like stuff like when Robert De Niro is like taking Sybil Shepherd out on a date, and like he's so awkward in conversation with her, and like it's a character study where you see it. It's a little more grounded in realism, I guess, and that works better for me. And I'm not trying to just compare this movie to Taxi Driver throughout the entire podcast, but there are a lot of weird
there's
like
a lot of
overlaps
parallels
there.
To it,
It's I don't know. There are a lot of parts of this movie that I like, though. I like when he's going to put his mom's corpse in that like pond, and he's got that suit on, and he's filled it full of rocks, and then he decides to not drown himself, and he's got to like pull all the rocks out and walk back to his car soaking wet. And I'm like, this is cool. It's visually interesting, and it's also like kind of funny.
There was a moment there I thought he was just going to let himself drown. That'd be the end of the movie. Like, oh, it's a big commentary on trauma and violence. But no, that's 3 Billboards.
Hey, man. Hey. 3 Billboards is great, and if you're listening and you haven't watched this, you should watch it. Don't let Dan ruin your good time.
It is a fun movie.
I love it. Anyway, back to
Rape
this.
revenge stories are fun. Back to this.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I don't know. It's there are fun moments in this movie. There are good like I don't hate the scene at the very end when he's sitting at the diner and he blows his brains out and everyone's still just like walking around about their day. And like even though it's like a little dream sequence, I'm like this is visually fun. Also, I'm just a sucker for blood.
Well, just to set the stage for that scene, he just saved the girl, they kill all the bad guys, and they're like leaving town, they're in a shitty little diner, and they're like, so what do we do now? And they're like, I don't fucking know, you tell me. And the girl goes to the bathroom, and that's when like Joaquin Phoenix just pulls a gun out and blows his head off. But then, like you said, everyone's just doing their own business. The waitress leaves a check down at the table, doesn't even like give it a second notice, and then the girl comes back, and it's like, oh no, he didn't actually kill himself, he's fine.
Yeah.
And then it's a sunny, beautiful day, so the world's their oyster. They can go out and do whatever they want, and then it ends.
And then the credits shows the booth that they were sitting at, but they're not sitting in it, and it's like they were never really here. So it is deep.
Oh, is that what that
no,
was?
No, I've changed. This movie's good. The movie's good. I changed my mind.
It's a well-made movie that I just don't give a shit about. That's the best way I can put it.
I agree with that 100%. It's not a bad movie. It's really well made.
It reminds me a lot, not in like tone or construction or that, but of The Lobster and the Killing of a Sacred Deer, in that The Lobster was a movie that the way it was shot and directed was so stilted. Like, it kind of plays off the whole awkward comedy, but then has really jarring, like violence and cruel bits to it that just did not work, I thought, in context of the film.
There's violence in The Lobster?
Yeah, like violence against like animals. Well, you'd love it. It's violence against a dog.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yikes.
Yikes, that's
and
right.
that
Whoa.
just
Whoa.
that really bothered me about that movie. But then he goes and makes Killing of a Sacred Deer, which is a suspense thriller, which his whole style just serves that film so much better than it did.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
For, in my opinion, The Lobster. And that's what I couldn't stop thinking about with this film. It's like, I like their take on this. I see what they're going for with the subject matter, but it would be much better applied to a different film and a different script. And
Just like Batman v Superman.
Shut Not that fucking hat up your head.
Sorry, Dan.
Michael, if you don't have anything constructive to say, keep your goddamn mouth shut.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it on Amazon Prime. I figure it's going to be one of those movies that ends up there.
Yes, it will.
It was made
It was
by
made
Amazon
by them.
Studios.
Oh, well, shit. Then
Yeah.
it's going to be on there next week.
Although, I think we mentioned this before, an interesting conversation to have is that comparing like what Amazon Studios is doing with films versus what Netflix is doing with films.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty
I would
interesting.
take anything Amazon does over what recent Netflix things have
Yeah,
been.
I
any day.
think I would agree with that. I also give Amazon like extra props for actually putting their movies out in theaters because I like that.
Yeah.
So good on them.
Well, that was Steven Spielberg's biggest like gripe with Netflix was that like
They're winning awards. They're not in theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
going to be honest, I kind of
Yeah.
agree with him on that.
Yeah.
I kind of agree, but I
'cause
also kind of don't because it's like just it's such an old way of thinking about it.
Well, I'm an
Like,
old-fashioned guy.
He doesn't want to adapt his thinking to that. I guess I don't know because to him, I mean, and to you and to a lot of people, like the movies are like going to the movie theater and not watching it on your couch.
No.
Like a
This
TV movie.
This is the way movies work.
you
Let
know?
me explain.
Uh-oh,
something.
here we go.
Yeah.
We're gonna learn something.
Let me just fucking
Learn me.
gross. Let me just tell you, this is how a movie works. Comes out in the theaters. You go to the theater. You plan your evening around it. It's an experience. You go. You do it. You
It's a thing.
soak in a story without any fucking distractions around you. You don't have to check the fucking oven or like be on your phone or talk to your shitty friends like I'm doing now. You just watch a goddamn movie.
Yeah.
Then you get out of the movie theater and then you talk about it and you're like, oh, that was neat. And then you talk to friends about it and you get excited about it. Then you buy it when it comes out on DVD or something. And then you watch it in the comfort of your own home. with
And then you
distractions.
never watch it again.
Or you have friends over. This is the way movies work. Not this like straight to fucking TV. You never leave your house and you just watch them. Or you just watch a TV series where you binge it and you don't give a shit about it. Movies are an art form and you're fucking ruining it with all your horse shit. Though I did really like I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. That was a really good,
really good.
Netflix movie. I thought I just mentioned that.
Jeremy Sonia is making a Netflix movie too.
Yeah, I saw
the
that.
whole statement where it's like if you don't, even though my movie's going straight to Netflix, if you don't consider it a film, you can kindly go like stab yourself in the face with the bread knife 80 times.
And
Yeah,
it
so
might.
go fuck yourself.
And I'm going to do that after I watch his movie, which I am excited for because he's a really good director. There are always exceptions to the rules.
Yeah.
I just think I would personally prefer
Sure.
movies to come out in
But
theaters.
that doesn't mean to me, I guess, that it should disqualify anybody from like participating in like Sundance or
Sure,
any kind of
sure.
thing. But at the same time, those people like the committees that run that like decide what movies they can
I'm just
let
thinking
in.
that maybe there should be a separate. If we're going to lump animation in as one category, which they do, and they're very like there's a big variety of different animated films, then I don't think it's totally unfair to lump like streaming service movies as their own category.
Well, I don't.
Not digital movies, but
Here's the big thing about that is the Academy Awards have always had a very like stringent set of rules for qualifying for what can be nominated or not, and it has to be in theaters for a set amount of week for a set amount of time. And that hasn't been a response to Netflix. That's always how they've done things.
Yeah.
So to that extent, I don't think they should change it just because Netflix doesn't.
No,
want to put
I
that
don't
shit
think
in
so
theaters.
either. I don't think that anybody needs to change their like contests or film festivals or anything to fit Netflix's model or Amazon's model or whatever. Well, I mean, Amazon puts their movies out, but I'm just saying that like to say they're not really films because
That is a bit much.
no, I
like
wouldn't
that
go.
to me is a like
I wouldn't go that far to say they're not really movies. It's just it's not my preferred way of watching them.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, like, and also at the end of the day, awards don't matter.
No, they
at
don't.
all. So it's like, but I'll give Spielberg that one of like, oh, I kind of feel the same way, but not enough to lobby for it. You know. And I'd be totally hypocritical if I watched a streaming service movie that I really liked, and I'd be like, this is bullshit. Why doesn't it win everything? Because it's so good. Because, you know, I'm fussy. I complain a lot.
Sure, I get you.
I'm like a 90-year-old man, but handsomer.
Sure.
That's my thing.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Kyle's thing is 90-year-old men.
Michael, you don't have anything constructive to say. Shut up. Take his hat, Dan. Take his stupid face.
Oh man, that was good. That was a sick burn on you.
Yeah, I don't like when the sick burns are against me.
Yeah, but that was a real sick burn.
Yeah, I know. I was here. I witnessed it. It's been recorded. I can hear it again later.
Like, out of all the stuff he said, that's probably the best thing he said.
It was the only thing he said all day that was worth anyone's time.
We'll just edit everything out that he said, and then put that in there.
It's like he was never really here.
WolfPunch.